For decades, Carlos Santana kept it hidden, the pain, the betrayal, the moments when he begged for the suffering to stop. We saw the rock legend, the man who conquered Woodstock, but we never knew about the 7 times he tried to end it all. Now, at 77, Santana isn't just revealing his darkest moments. He's pulling back the curtain on the truth that shaped his life, his music, and his soul. Let's get into the full story. Carlos Santana's early life was full of drama and tough times. He was born in Mexico in 1947. His dad played violin in mariachi bands and taught Carlos to play music when he was very young. When Carlos was 8, his family moved to Tijuana. This move changed his life in big ways. In Tijuana, Carlos saw a cool rock band called the TJs playing in a park. This made him fall in love with blues and rock music. But life in Tijuana wasn't all good. For 2 years, Carlos went through something really bad. An American man abused him in ways no child should ever be hurt. This man would take Carlos across the border a lot, buying him toys and clothes to keep him quiet. It only stopped when the man hit Carlos for looking at a woman through a window. This awful time left Carlos feeling guilty for many years. When Carlos was just 15, he started playing guitar in strip clubs in Tijuana. It was a rough place for a kid. He saw some pretty scary things, like a police officer being mean to a woman who worked there. But playing in these clubs also helped Carlos create his special mix of Latin music with blues and rock. In the early 1960s, Carlos Santana worked as a dishwasher at the Tic Tac drive-in. He earned very little money but saved every cent he could. He dreamed of buying papers for immigration and a new Stratocaster guitar. One day, he found out his mother had taken all his savings, $300, and used it to pay for his sister's dental work. When Carlos asked her about it, she gave him only $20 back. He felt so hurt that he left home with just the $20. He went back to Tijuana, where he played music in strip clubs to survive. Life in San Francisco was tough for Carlos. He lived in the Mission District in a small, crowded apartment with other musicians. There wasn't even a bed, so he slept on the floor. He worked long hours washing dishes and could barely afford food, living mostly on rice and beans. He didn't have enough money for proper guitar strings, so he played with broken ones or used whatever he could find. It was a hard time, but he didn't give up on his music. Before he became famous, Carlos played music on the streets of San Francisco. He spent hours performing at places like Fisherman's Wharf and Union Square. Some days, he made less than $5. While playing, he heard many kinds of music, like jazz and folk. He learned to mix these sounds into his own style, which helped him grab the attention of people passing by. The turning point came in 1966 when Santana formed his first band, the Santana Blues Band. It all came together by chance. While working at the drive-in, he met Tom Fraser, who introduced him to Greg Rowley, a keyboard player. They brought in other musicians like David Brown on bass and Marcus Malone on percussion. The band's name, Santana, was suggested by Michael Carabello because it sounded memorable. Santana's rise to fame happened in a way that felt like fate. The band got their big chance at Woodstock because of Bill Graham, a promoter who believed in them. Graham was helping to organize the festival and told the organizers they had to include Santana if they wanted his help. At the time, Santana wasn't famous. They hadn't even released their first album yet, and most of the 400,000 people at Woodstock had no idea who they were. The band was just a local act from San Francisco that had been playing in small bars in places like Tijuana not long before. They were given a 45-minute slot on August 16, 1969, in the afternoon. This spot put them between big names like the Grateful Dead and Creedence Clearwater Revival, which made their inclusion even more surprising. What made Santana's Woodstock performance even more unbelievable was Carlos Santana's state of mind during the show. He was only 22 years old and had an unexpected encounter with Jerry Garcia from the Grateful Dead. After arriving at the festival by helicopter, Santana thought they wouldn't play until much later that night, maybe around 3 a.m. While waiting, Garcia gave Santana something to try, possibly peyote, mescaline, or another strong hallucinogen. The effects hit Santana hard. When it was time to perform earlier than expected, he was already deep into a vivid trip. On stage, he saw his guitar neck moving like a snake, and it freaked him out. To keep himself grounded, Santana played with his eyes closed, trusting his fingers to find the right notes. At one point, he even prayed, asking God to help him not embarrass himself in front of the massive crowd. Woodstock changed everything for Santana. Their performance turned them into stars overnight. Graham had warned Carlos that fame would hit hard after the festival, and he was right. Just 2 weeks after Woodstock, Santana's debut album was released on August 30, 1969. The timing was perfect. Suddenly, they were no longer just a local band but a sensation known across the country. Graham helped the band capitalize on their success, booking them for major events like the Gold Rush Festival and even getting them on the Ed Sullivan Show in October 1969. These opportunities solidified their growing popularity. Santana's first album was a huge success. The self-titled record stayed on the Billboard 200 pop album chart for an incredible 108 weeks, peaking at number 4 in November 1969. Their first single, Jingo, only made it to number 56, but it was the song Evil Ways that became their big breakthrough. It climbed the charts, reaching number 9 and spending 13 weeks in the top rankings. Deborah played a big role in managing Santana's career and finances, especially during the 1990s, when Carlos admitted he might have ended up with nothing without her help. Together, they had 3 children, Salvador, who became a songwriter and bandleader, Stella, a singer and songwriter, and Angelica, a writer and film producer. Their marriage lasted 34 years and was also a strong business collaboration. In 1994, they took full control of the Santana Band, with Deborah working as vice president and COO of Santana Management until 2007. They also founded the Milagro Foundation in 1998, which helped underprivileged children in many countries. Deborah was a key part of Carlos's huge success with the 1999 album Supernatural, which went platinum 15 times and earned 9 Grammy Awards. But their marriage wasn't as perfect as it seemed. In her 2005 memoir, Space Between the Stars, Deborah revealed that Carlos had been unfaithful. This revelation, among other issues, led to their divorce in 2007. After the memoir was published, Carlos publicly admitted to his infidelity. He said he felt deep regret and apologized to Deborah and their children for the hurt he caused. He explained that he wasn't in the right frame of mind during those times and promised to become the kind of man she wanted him to be. Carlos's struggles during this period were tied to a broader crisis in his spiritual life. He had previously followed a spiritual guru, Sri Chinmoy, but left his guidance in 1982 because of disagreements about personal choices. The divorce took a heavy toll on Carlos. It brought him to the darkest point in his life, leading to 7 suicide attempts. He felt so much pain that he believed death might be better than suffering. Each time he tried, though, something stopped him. He described hearing a soft yet powerful voice that said, "I'm sitting next to you. Isn't that enough?" These moments, combined with looking at a picture of Jesus and lighting a candle, helped pull him back from the brink. Over time, he found joy again in simple things like eating and breathing. The pain of the divorce also brought back memories of a traumatic event from his childhood when he was sexually abused at the age of 10 by a friend of his father. Through his faith, he eventually found the strength to forgive his abuser, describing forgiveness as freeing. His spiritual journey has been full of ups and downs. In 1973, his guru gave him the name Devadip, meaning the lamp, light, and eye of God. After leaving the guru's guidance, Carlos later embraced Christianity, which gave him peace. By 2015, he was so committed to his faith that he spoke about becoming a church minister after retiring from music. He even planned to open a church in Maui, Hawaii. In 1999, Carlos Santana made an incredible comeback. At the age of 52, he released an album called Supernatural, which became one of the biggest successes in music history. The album sold 30 million copies around the world. This happened because Clive Davis, the man who had signed Santana to Columbia Records back in 1969, came to him with an idea to work together again. It was a big risk because Santana hadn't had a top 10 hit since 1971, but it worked out in a way nobody expected. At the Grammy Awards in 2000, Santana won 9 awards in one night, tying with Michael Jackson for the most Grammys ever won at once. The album hit number 1 in 11 countries and stayed at the top of the US charts for 12 weeks. Santana also made history as the first Hispanic artist to win the Grammy for Album of the Year. One of the most famous songs from Supernatural was Smooth, but it almost didn't happen. The song started as a rough idea called Room 17, which was about a groupie meeting Santana in a hotel. Pete Ganbarg, an A&R executive, thought the album needed a big hit and pushed for the song. Santana wasn't interested at first, and it took a personal message from Clive Davis to convince him. Rob Thomas, who wrote and sang the song, was living a laid-back life in Manhattan when he got involved. Santana wanted the band and Thomas to perform the song live together in the studio, which he said created a tsunami of positivity. The result was a massive hit. Smooth became the last number 1 song of the 1990s and the first of the 2000s, staying at the top of the Billboard Hot 100 for 12 weeks. It spent 30 weeks in the top 10 and stayed on the chart for 58 weeks in total. Santana's life shows how far hard work can take someone. In the early 1960s, he moved to San Francisco and worked as a dishwasher. He also played music on the streets for tips. Now, his net worth is estimated at $120 million. His success skyrocketed after Supernatural, which made over $375 million in sales. Santana has invested in real estate, including a $6 million home in Las Vegas and a $20.5 million property in Hawaii. He's also a smart businessman, starting a chain of Mexican restaurants called Maria Maria with chef Roberto Santibones. Even at 77 years old, Santana hasn't slowed down. He continues to perform in Las Vegas at the House of Blues in the Mandalay Bay Resort and Casino. His residency, called An Intimate Evening with Santana, Greatest Hits Live, presented by SiriusXM, has been going strong for 13 years and is extended through 2025. He plays high-energy shows several nights a week, with new dates scheduled for early 2025. Santana is also one of the only artists, along with the Rolling Stones, to have an album in the top 10 in every decade since the 1960s. The 77-year-old guitarist, who had been playing seated during recent performances, also postponed his September and early October residency shows at the House of Blues in Las Vegas. Even though he cancelled some shows, he still managed to play on August 27th, 28th, 30th, and 31st. One of these shows was at the Kia Forum in Inglewood, and it was very special. Santana played 5 songs from his famous album Supernatural, celebrating its 25th anniversary. These performances showed that even with health challenges, Santana could still deliver incredible music. In 2023, Santana found himself in a major controversy because of comments he made about gender identity during a concert in Atlantic City, New Jersey. He gave an unscripted 15-minute speech that upset many people. In his speech, he talked about gender being decided before birth. This made the audience uncomfortable, and the moment went viral after someone shared a video online. Santana was quoted saying, "When God made you and me before we came out of the womb, you know who you are and what you are." After this, he apologized on Facebook for his insensitive comments and admitted his words had hurt people. But later, he deleted the apology and instead posted a mysterious poem that read, "The energy of consciousness generates its own kind. Hate begets hate. Love begets love." This added to the controversy, especially since it happened at a time when many anti-LGBTQ bills were being introduced in the US, some targeting transgender youth. During the same Atlantic City concert, Santana also showed public support for comedian Dave Chappelle. He said, "I am like this with my brother Dave Chappelle," referring to their close connection. This caused more backlash because Chappelle had faced criticism for his Netflix special The Closer, which had controversial comments about transgender people. Transgender people faced increasing challenges when Santana voiced his support for Chappelle. His comments came at a time when many US states were passing laws against LGBTQ rights, making the situation worse. Advocacy groups, including leaders from San Francisco Pride, criticized Santana's remarks. Many civil rights organizations warned that statements like these from famous figures could make life even harder for transgender individuals. The backlash was especially strong because Santana, a well-known figure in the Bay Area, has a significant influence in the music world. Despite the controversy, Santana's music continues to shine, and his band has become a family effort. His wife, Cindy Blackman Santana, has been the band's drummer since 2015. At 64, she is an incredible musician and often steals the spotlight with her talent. At the Kia Forum show, she wowed the crowd with a stunning drum solo during the encore after Are You Ready? Carlos's son, Salvador, from his first marriage, is also part of the band. At 41, Salvador plays keyboards, percussion, and vocals, even adding rap to songs like Maria Maria. Their shows, part of the One Us tour, feature an 18-song setlist that includes both old classics and new hits. Looking ahead, Carlos and his family are preparing for an extended residency at the House of Blues Las Vegas in 2025. The show, titled An Intimate Evening with Santana, Greatest Hits Live, will run from January to May and promises to showcase their incredible musical bond. At 77, Carlos Santana has a deep and unique way of thinking about life and mortality. His ideas stem from his spiritual journey, which has shaped him over the years. He once followed Sri Chinmoy's teachings and became a born-again Christian in 1992. His wife, Cindy Blackman, has also played a significant role in how he sees life and staying healthy. Together, they focus on 4 key principles: diet, devotion, dedication, and discipline. Santana believes that being strong and full of life isn't just about eating the right food, it's also about feeding the mind and spirit. He says that even if you eat the best food, you can still be weak if you don't think correctly. His spiritual life is very strong, and he once had a mystical experience with the Virgin of Guadalupe. That moment changed him deeply, and now he often asks others, "What is God saying to you right now?" Santana's message to his fans goes beyond music. He wants people to wake up spiritually and feel powerful in their own lives. He often tells his audience to celebrate your own light and your divinity. He believes it's important to bring hope and courage to the world, especially when people are struggling. Santana looks at the big picture and seeks ways to bring peace, comfort, and togetherness to everyone. In 1998, he started the Milagro Foundation to help children worldwide with education and healthcare. He also stands up for social justice and fights for what is right. At a civil rights game for the Atlanta Braves, he spoke out, saying, "I am here to give a voice to the invisible." His actions show that he is not only a musician but also a person deeply committed to making the world a better place.